Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the official cool guy weighed in yesterday on, we talked about how this announcement came out. Goldman Sachs plans to spend hundreds of millions on crypto-related investments after FTX's downfall. And Mr. Intuitive, the official cool guy, says the plan all along, and he's 1,000% right. Look at what these people do. The same freaking people that leave Goldman Sachs are the people that go to the SEC. They're the same people who sit there, Gary Gensler sits there for how many years now and does nothing but spread negativity about crypto. The prices are driven down. The MIT people are all involved in the FTX thing, or they're linked to it out the wazoo. And all these same people are running these government agencies. The prices are driven down because of their actions. And then what happens? Their old buddies at Goldman swoop in and buy on the cheap. Isn't that interesting? Same thing happened back in 2018-19. Do you remember the video where Glenn Beck had Tika Tiwari on his show, and he had a chalkboard up there. He was showing how these guys would come out with an article. Jamie Dimon would say something negative about crypto, and then you find out that JP Morgan was buying Bitcoin while he's saying these things, okay? Or after he's saying these things. Same was going on with some of the other people like Soros and all these powerful people. These guys have made money for years and years and years. This is how they do it. They manipulate the media because they own the media. They manipulate the regulators because they own the regulators, and they buy on information you and I don't have. Well, it's like Digital Perspectives always say. He's talking about putting his pennies beside their billions or whatever. Well, that's what I did this morning. I went to Link2 and I bought myself some more PolySign, because these are the times when the money's made, folks. The money is not made. People think the money is made when the markets are going crazy. That is not when the money is made. The money is made by people who kept their powder dry and had plenty of liquidity and cash once the markets get crushed over whatever the reasons are, and they make good purchases. So that's what the Digital Asset Investor did today. Stuart Alderati yesterday. As we hit the beginning of the end with the SEC lawsuit, I couldn't have asked for a better team to be part of. Thankful every day for my equally inimitable colleagues at Ripple. I think I said that word right. Colleagues at Ripple. And then I went out and just searched the phrase he used, the beginning of the end. A book came up with the all-seeing eye, and I said, I love the internet. Brad Garlinghouse, they were talking about this article that Stuart Alderati had done. He said, I learned a few new fun facts about our inimitable Stuart Alderati here myself. Example, the man has put out both literal and figurative fires. Now, this caught my attention. This is interesting. We don't really talk about this stuff on this channel, but he says after this scandal was published, I expect Elon Musk to publish the SEC scandals with Ethereum. There are similarities between the two. This caught my attention, and it reminded me. And then I saw yesterday, Elon Musk tweets this out. Oh, what a tangled web they weave when they practice to deceive. And I said we were using this quote a lot during our ETHgate investigation. At the same time, Elon Musk was making fun of Web3, which was what ETHgate was. Web3 and the people behind it, because their plan was exposed. Remember, he and Jack Dorsey, one of them said, but it's between A and Z, and they were taking shots at A16Z, which is Andreessen Horowitz, who is exactly who was uncovered to be the venture capital working group that worked to get the Ethereum free pass behind the scenes. So I have to wonder, I always knew they were watching, because when I saw them saying between A and Z, I was like, okay, they've picked up on what we've found, and now they know. Now he's saying this, but it wasn't, I tweeted, I could show you, I tweeted it at least 3 to 5 times during that time. But then Stuart Alderati said it in this tweet. He said, he's talking about BlockFi, and he says, the SEC still markets the BlockFi deal as another win for regulation by enforcement. Oh, what a tangled web. And then I screenshot this, okay? And then I went back and looked at some of my tweets. This is one of them. This is your legacy, Gary Gensler, Hester Pierce, Allison Heron Lee, Jay Clayton, Bill Hinman. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. Pay attention, Congress, elections are coming. That was that was, let's see when I tweeted that, August 15th, 2022. And here's what BitBoy said that I was sending out.
I think there's a decent chance that this case actually goes longer than the SEC exists. At the day of the kill, the kill time for the SEC, it is possible, the case would be over immediately after that, because they won't have any jurisdiction anymore. I'm telling you guys, there is a chance that Ripple destroys the SEC. This is not conjecture. I've heard this from politicians. There is a chance, at bare minimum, the SEC is getting restructured totally over the next 2 years. Bare minimum. Maybe starting by the end of this year. But I'll tell you this, they're not going to have power of the digital assets world. I can tell you that. That's being taken from them very, very soon. But there's a chance that this happens. I had a tweet over the weekend on what's the site where I do the tweets?
Twitter, I think.
Right, on Twitter. And I said, basically, Ripple might actually kill the SEC. And I said, Brad Garlinghouse is doing the Lord's work. And you know what happened right after that? Brad Garlinghouse followed me. Welcome, Brad G. Appreciate you.
All right. So there's that. Now, on the same day, I have a question to ask, folks. Anyone have an update on the Hinman documents and when we should see them? I haven't heard anybody give me a good response yet, but I'm looking forward to that. Now, the official cool guy, I want to make sure everybody understands. I think it's highly likely that when this decision comes down, or when there's, maybe not if there's a settlement announced, but if a decision comes down from this judge, I think it's very highly likely, and everybody needs to be prepared that on the surface and at first, everybody's terrified. I mean, that could happen easily, okay? My experience in this space is that when everybody's saying one thing, the opposite happens, okay? That's kind of how life works a lot of times. But I think it's very possible that it may take a while to digest the goods and the bads if this comes from a judge's decision. I think the official cool guy here has it kind of right. Probable. Judge rules, he is an attorney, by the way, I think. Probable. Judge rules Ripple sales early were securities, but XRP itself now is not a security. Settles with judicial clarity on XRP. If Ripple's sales were securities, imagine how bad it looks for ICOs. Would you rather have the head start before or after clarity? Now, here's another thing we're starting to see, folks. This is not your imagination. We are starting to see an avalanche of Bitcoin maxi types and articles and different things that are trying to pile on and say, oh, yeah, Ripple's going to lose and all this, and XRP's a security. We're seeing that because these people, this is the time to freak out if you're these people, because if XRP gets off, do you know what that means for Bitcoin? All of a sudden, XRP would be free, and Bitcoin would have to do what it's never had to do, and that is compete on the level playing field. And it will lose because there's no reason to own Bitcoin if XRP is free from a regulatory perspective. There's not one reason to own Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a pile of junk from the junkyard as compared to XRP and what it delivers. And so is Ethereum, folks. Neither one of them. Now, this was an opinion article done. Economic Unreality, what SEC ICO precedents mean for Ripple. Now, this article according to the guy that supposedly wrote it, Preston Bird. It's a pro-Ripple article. But in the article, he says that he thinks Ripple's going to lose this thing. And so Matt Hamilton took issue with him. Now, it's a pretty long thread here, but Matt Hamilton really, the guy stops responding here when he can't answer this. He says this: your very first sentence makes the false implication that Ripple had held an ICO. Then you go on to admit you don't know how the consensus mechanism works. Also, you conveniently omit Ripple was funded by VC funding, also admitting all other companies' devs building on the XRPL. If Ripple loses, as I expect it will sooner or later, its defeat would be highly symbolic. Also, the article says Ripple legal arguments are very wrong, which they are. Okay. Also, what makes you think criticizing Ripple? Did you even write this article yourself? It seems pretty high risk career move as a lawyer in this space to publish an article that possibly you didn't even write, that humiliates you and your sycophants so much that your excuse is you don't have edit rights on it, because that's what he said up here somewhere. He says, where did he say it? I don't know. He did say it though. Now, Bill Morgan comes in and says this: don't hold your breath for a comment from me. I cannot keep up with the deluge of tweets and articles that have emerged in the last few days saying Ripple is going to lose. It's more like propaganda. Most of it does not show familiarity with the complexity and details of the case. Here's two right here. We saw yesterday the MicroStrategy guy come on and urge SEC to shut down Ripple, as if that matters anymore. You're the judge. It's in the judge's hand. Then Max Kaiser down here urges the SEC to stand up against XRP. I mean, these guys are freaking out because they know that what I just said. They're terrified. The Bitcoin, Ethereum maxis have tried it all. If XRP is freed, they can't compete, which is why they've tried everything to stop it. That is the fact, Jack. And she's helping Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren. Crypto bank Silvergate was asked by 3 U.S. senators to release all records about transfers of funds for collapsed FTX empire of Sam Bankman-Fried. This looks like a diversion because Elizabeth Warren is focusing on Silvergate Bank instead of FTX. Go figure. In the midst of all this, the SEC hasn't done anything to Tether. Tether is now launching an offshore Chinese yuan on Tron. You can't make this stuff up. Now, here's something for the red file, the All the World's a Stage file. T's crypto spot says, there was once a guy named T who told people you have nothing to worry about with JP Morgan. Wink, wink, LOL. I may know a guy that knows a guy that knew a guy. And he retweets this. I've heard that T's crypto spot knows a guy. Now, this is from this article. Al Fardon Exchange LLC collaborates with global leader JP Morgan in Regional First. And then they're pulling an older thing from Ripple. This partnership will see Al Fardon join Ripple's cloud-based global financial network, RippleNet Cloud, and allow Al Fardon's customers to remit money internationally in real time at any time of year, all year round. So he's saying that he knows a guy. He's got a source that's whispering to him. That will be on the thumbnail. Then there was this. Sam Bankman-Fried hires sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell's former lawyer Mark Cohen. I said no coincidences. And then this guy says, hypothetically, what if we find out you know who and the banking cartels are behind Bitcoin? Folks, I called that long ago. Then John Deaton is retweeting this. Former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison was spotted in Soho over the weekend. The rumor is she's retained white shoe law firm Wilmer Hale. If true, there's a good chance she's represented by Preet Bharara, the most successful financial crimes prosecutor of all time. John Deaton says if this is true, 2 things will happen. She will not get the punishment she deserves, but Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that that according to John Deaton, Sam Bankman-Fried could